Chapter 51 Mr. Li gives up 9 Longcang. Jardine Land and Empire Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wharf has a huge industry. There are piers, warehouses, hotels, buildings, trams, and the Star Ferry located on the seaside in Tsim Sha Tsui, Kowloon, the New Territories, and Hong Kong Island, and the assets are abundant. It can be said that whoever owns Wharf controls the most important cargo handling and warehousing business in Hong Kong. It is perfectly matched with Bao's huge fleet. Most importantly, Wharf has a large area of land with great development potential on the seaside of Tsim Sha Tsui. The ocean terminal, ocean center, seaport, etc. have been built one after another, making Wharf a famous land king in Tsim Sha Tsui. Under such circumstances, how could Bao Yugang swallow such a large piece of fat for Li Jiaqing? The situation in Wharf is still unclear. He wants to see first if Li Jiaqing really wants to swallow up Wharf. Based on his understanding of Henry Keswick, the chief executive of Jardine Land, Henry Keswick would definitely not let Li Jiaqing get the Wharf easily. 17:00 p.m. Yang Ming took the car back to the mid-level villa in Repulse Bay. Returned to the villa, Yang Ming first had dinner with his parents, sitting in a wheelchair, enjoying the breeze in the courtyard of the villa and going upstairs. It was Azu and Zhong Chuhong who took a shower and changed clothes, come out of the bathroom and return to the study. When Azu and Zhong Chuhong brought over today's newspaper, Yang Ming sat there, first reading newspapers from Hong Kong. I learned from the newspapers that there are now rumors that Li Jiaqing intends to acquire Wharf stocks. Wharf stock should exceed 60 yuan a share tomorrow. Yang Ming knew that it was not Li Jiaqing who really wanted to swallow up Wharf, but him. As for Li Jiaqing, of course he doesn't have that ability. When Yang Ming looked at other stocks in Xiangjiang, Yang Ming did not expect that many of his listed companies would start to rise to varying degrees tomorrow. Is it because of the Wharf relationship? Yang Ming guessed, it should be that the media in Hong Kong are now reporting that Li Jiaqing is going to swallow up the Wharf, which has attracted the attention of the Jardine Keswick family. So according to Yang Ming's historical Wharf battle between Bao Yugang and the Keswick family, he knew that Jardine could not spend so much money to acquire Wharf stocks, so he could only sell the listed company through its subsidiary Jardine Securities Stocks to obtain more funds to buy Wharf stocks. Historically, the final result was, of course, that Jardine and the Keswick family fell short. He could not exchange more funds for more investor stocks, so Bao Yugang successfully took over the Wharf. When he saw this, Yang Ming found it quite interesting. It seems that what is supposed to come has come, just because of Yang Ming's appearance. Some things have appeared in advance. Zhong Chuhong took notes carefully on the side, until about 11 o'clock in the evening. After Zhong Chuhong finished recording, Yang Ming also wanted to take a rest. Zhong Chuhong already knows that next month her salary will increase to 5,000 Hong Kong dollars a month. This was something Zhong Chuhong never expected. Later she learned that it was Li Yufang who asked Butler Lin to increase her salary. Yang Ming returned to the master room and looked at the moonlight outside, didn't fall asleep until nearly midnight. Early the next day, after Zhu woke up, after Yang Ming finished breakfast, he took the car back to the Empire Group in the Federal Building. When Yang Ming returned to the chairman's office, now, the number of employees in the company has increased to 200 thanks to the recommendations of those 15 people. Such an Imperial Group is actually considered a small company. Yang Ming was there drinking coffee prepared by Lin Shouji. After the 13 people took Yang Ming's stock information, he began to pay attention to the Wharf stock price. Last night, he already knew that Wharf stock price soared from 45 yuan per share today to 60 yuan per share. Even then, it would be difficult for Imperial Group to continue to buy Wharf stocks in large quantities. 9:30 am, the Hong Kong stock market has just opened. In addition to the fact that many stocks of Jardine Matheson's superior subsidiaries were sold through Jardine Matheson Securities, a large amount of funds were obtained to quickly buy Wharf company shares. Because of Jardine Matheson's intervention, Wharf stock price soon began to soar. At this time, the 5 people from the Imperial Group were snapping up Wharf shares with Jardine Matheson and other investors. Changji Industrial Group Building, Zhou Qianzhao's office, he held 430 million Wharf shares in his hands. When he saw Wharf stocks gradually soaring, he also began to have people sell Wharf stocks gradually. When he held the 430 million shares of Wharf, he finally sold them at an average price of 55 yuan per share. After calculation, the profit per share was 40 new Taiwan dollars, and a total of 430 million shares was obtained, which equaled 1 Hong Kong dollar million, less than a month. Zhou Qianzhao earned 1 million Hong Kong dollars for Li Jiaqing, which is considered very good, when Zhou Qianzhao came to report the matter to Li Jiaqing. Mr. Li, I have sold Wharf stocks as you said. The average price was 55 Hong Kong dollars, and the final profit was 1 million Hong Kong dollars. Lao Zhou, you did a good job. Mr. Li, I have some doubts. According to the current Wharf stock price, it should be higher. Why don't we wait and sell it before we can earn more by then? This is what Zhou Qianzhao is confused about, Li Jiaqing said. You know the way I always invest, I never earn the last penny. According to the current situation of Wharf, the Keswick family of Jardine Matheson will definitely intervene. If Keswick is find me and ask me to sell it to him at a cheap price, wouldn't that be a loss? Moreover, if Keswick buys a large amount of Wharf stocks and regains control of Wharf, the Wharf stocks will definitely return to their original price. I would also lose money. When Zhou Qianzhao heard this, he thought for a while and felt that his boss Li Jiaqing was right. However, he also knew that he was not sitting in Li Jiaqing's position, so his considerations were naturally different. Now that 1 million Hong Kong dollars is safely in his pocket, Li Jiaqing is naturally happy. Looking at Zhou Qianzhao's appearance, he said, "Old Zhou, you can't make enough money. Since we made money at Wharf, don't we have other places where we can make money? Mr. Li, tell me." Hutchison International. Li Jiaqing knew that Huifeng Bank was the major shareholder of Hutchison International, and it was Huifeng Bank that controlled Hutchison International. After Li Jiaqing gave up Wharf, he was immediately very interested in Hutchison International. He knew that as long as Shen Bi was willing to sell Hutchison International's shares to him, he would be able to transform himself and become the richest man in Hong Kong and even the Chinese. This is the real purpose of Li Jiaqing. When Zhou Qianzhao heard this, he immediately showed a different look in his eyes. Mr. Li, I understand. When Zhou Qianzhao started buying Hutchison International stocks, Wharf was really in a scuffle. Imperial Group and Jardine Matheson Land are both grabbing Wharf shares. In the morning, although Li Jiaqing sold 430 million shares of Wharf, Empire Group only bought about 300 million shares, and the remaining 130 million shares were basically eaten up by Jardine Matheson Land and other retail investors. In other words, in the morning, Imperial Group had controlled more than 1,600 million shares of Wharf, accounting for 18.8% of Wharf's shares. Jardine Matheson Land has increased its holdings from more than 800 million shares to a little over 1,000 million shares, accounting for 11.7% of the shares. Compared with the Imperial Group, this is still far behind. In the afternoon, the Hong Kong stock market continues to trade. Wharf stocks have not surged significantly, and the stock price has basically fluctuated around $60. There are now rumors in the market that not only Li Jiaqing intends to acquire Wharf stocks, but also Jardine Matheson Land wants to keep Wharf. So now in the market, investors of Wharf stocks are basically reluctant to sell them again. In the afternoon, Imperial Group only bought about 100 million shares, Jardine Matheson Land also bought almost 100 million shares. It's not that both parties don't want to buy it, but that they simply can't buy it. Now those retail investors and financial groups, large and small, are basically not willing to trade as long as they have Wharf stocks in their hands. Today, Wharf's trading volume is really huge. The trading volume of one stock has been equivalent to the previous week's trading volume of the Xiangjiang stock market. This has greatly enhanced the prosperity of the Xiangjiang stock market and driven the transactions of the entire Xiangjiang stock market. This also allowed Imperial Group to make a lot of profits in the Hong Kong stock market. Yang Ming, before leaving the Imperial Group, he has learned that he now controls more than 1,700 million shares of Imperial Group, occupying about 20% of Wharf's shares. Jardine Matheson Land has 1,100 million shares, accounting for about 13% of Wharf's shares. From the reactions of those 5 people, Yang Ming knew that a large number of stocks were suddenly sold in the morning, which must be stocks controlled by Li Jiaqing. But Yang Ming didn't know how much Jardine bought. At this time, Yang Ming's Imperial Group controlled 20% of Wharf's shares. Not only was he the largest shareholder of Wharf, but he could also officially announce to the world that he would take over Wharf. replacing Jardine Matheson Land and Henry Keswick's taipan status at Wharf. Yang Ming was not in a hurry, he wanted to give Iha Land a fatal move so that the other party could not stand up. Please read it. Chapter 52 Shen Bi personally mediates with Mr. Li. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Victoria Peak Villa, Henry Keswick's house. At 1600 hours in the afternoon, the Hong Kong stock market ended, and Nabijin hurried from the land building to see Henry Keswick. Henry Keswick was already at home. Nabijin, how is the stock market today? Henry Keswick looked at Nabijin, who was led in by the butler, and asked. Sir Keswick, according to what you said, we sold some shares of the listed subsidiary to obtain some funds. We entered the stock market today and bought a total of more than 300 million Wharf stocks in the morning and afternoon, with an average price of 58 yuan per share, so it cost more than 1 million Hong Kong dollars. More than 1 million Hong Kong dollars. Henry Keswick felt a little distressed after hearing this. Last year, Wharf stock price had been floating around 300 yuan. After all, 2,700 million shares of Wharf stock were worth million Hong Kong dollars. Now it has doubled many times. According to our traders, many investors are now in a wait-and-see mode. They may not be willing to sell even if they have stocks in their hands. Obviously, those investors want to wait for Wharf stock price to rise higher to make a move. Our opponents, I should have bought a lot of stocks today. You are talking about that Chinese businessman Li Jiaqing. Now Henry Keswick is really angry. On the one hand, he needs to pay a higher price to buy Wharf stocks. On the one hand, he was worried that Li Jiaqing would really swallow up Wharf. It seems that we need to find someone to mediate. He had thought about it yesterday. Shen Yi is now the chairman of Huifeng Bank, Taipan, the god of wealth in Hong Kong. I am afraid that no one in Xiangjiang would not give Shen Bi face. Henry Keswick knew that Shen Yi and Li Jiaqing should be relatively familiar with each other. He also knew that Shen Yi and the previous Huifeng Bank chief executive, Sanders, had been supporting the development of Chinese capital in Xiangjiang. In addition to Li Jiaqing and Bao Yugang, many potential Chinese tycoons have received financial support from Huifeng Bank. This does not mean that Shen Bian will support Li Jiaqing to swallow up Wharf. It seems that we need to meet Shen Bi. Nabijin thought so when he heard it. If Mr. Shen is willing to come forward, of course it would be best. Because Shen Yi also lives in the Peak Villa, the area around Victoria Peak Villa is very large, but if you take a car, it's not very far. Henry Keswick asked the butler to prepare a heavy gift and personally took Nabijin to the Shen Yan family villa, Victoria Peak Villa, Shen family. Since meeting Yang Ming at Happy Valley Racecourse that day, Shen Bi has become more and more interested in the young man Yang Ming. He didn't mention his desire to cooperate with Yang Ming, because he wanted to continue to know more about this young man. As for the Wharf stock market stock price starting to skyrocket last week, he has noticed it. However, he didn't pay too much attention. What he didn't expect was that he actually heard the news that Li Jiaqing wanted to eat Wharf. At this point, Shen Bi became interested. Before that, as far as the wealthy Chinese in Xiangjiang were concerned, he believed that the one with the greatest potential, apart from Bao Yugang, who had been cooperating with Huifeng Bank, was Li Jiaqing. Now there is one more, Yang Ming of Imperial Group. He really didn't expect that Li Jiaqing actually wanted to swallow up Wharf. Now he was watching the show like an outsider. If Li Jiaqing can really swallow up Wharf, then of course he is optimistic about Li Jiaqing. If not, that's okay, it has nothing to do with him anyway. Just at this time, the Shen family's housekeeper came in and said, Sir, Mr. Henry Keswick and Mr. Nubicin from Jardine Matheson are here. Henry Keswick, the head and major shareholder of Jardine Matheson. Nubicin, now Taipan in Jardine, Land, and Wharf. I gonna go see. Shen Bi came out and saw Henry Keswick and Nabijin. Regarding the Keswick family, Iha Taipan Nubijin, Shen Bi is relatively clear. Henry Keswick is the fourth generation head of this family. Now Jardine is also the first of the four major foreign companies in Hong Kong, and it is also one of the faces of British capital in Hong Kong. Sir Keswick, Mr. Nubicin, why do you have time to come and see me? Mr. Shen, I have something to ask of you. Shen Bi took Henry Keswick and Nabijin to the courtyard of the villa. It's quiet here. You can also see the high-rise buildings in Central District and Victoria Harbour at any time. Shen Bi knew that Henry Keswick and Nubicon were not here to see the scenery. "Henry, tell me what's going on." "Mr. Shen, you should know that Wharf stock price has suddenly soared. Last week it was reported that Li Jiaqing, the Chinese tycoon and chairman of Changchun Industrial Group, is going to take over Wharf." It turned out that this was what I came for. Shen Bi nodded and said, "I've heard of it. Wharf Matheson is very important to Jardine Matheson and land. I don't want others to take it away. I hope you will come forward and let Li Jiaqing give up Wharf on his own initiative." Let Li Jiaqing give up Wharf on his own initiative. Shen Bi did not expect that Henry Keswick would bring this up. Henry Keswick said much more. Now Shen Bi is supporting the Chinese, and Shen Bi also knows that Iha is the face of British capital. Henry Keswick said that, of course he wanted to give Henry Keswick face. "Sir Keswick, no problem. Let me talk to Mr. Li for you. If he is willing to give up, then of course it is best. If he is unwilling to give up the Wharf, then I have no choice." In history, Li Jiaqing once held 18% of Wharf's shares. Finally, with Shen Bi's mediation, Li Jiaqing was finally forced to give up Wharf because of his lack of strength and limited funds. When it was Bao Yugong's turn, even if Henry Keswick approached Shen Bi and the two parties sat down and talked for a long time, Bao Yugong would naturally not give up Wharf like Li Jiaqing did. It's because from the beginning, Li Jiaqing's strength was far inferior to Bao Yugong. "Thank you, Mr. Shen." When they heard Shen Yi agreed, Henry Keswick and Nubicon breathed a sigh of relief. When the two left first, Shen Bi thought for a while outside. With his status, he would not go to see Li Jiaqing in person. Instead, he made a landline call to Li Jiaqing's villa, Deepwater Bay mid-level villa, Li family. "Hello, I am Shen Bi from Huifeng Bank." When Zhuang Yueming received the call and learned that it was Shen Bi, he was also very surprised. Zhuang Yueming knew Shen Bi very early. Moreover, Li Jiaqing was introduced to Shen Bi only later. In addition to being Li Jiaqing's wife, Zhuang Yueming is also the eldest lady of the banker family. The dealer is the king of watches in Xiangjiang, and her father is very well known in Xiangjiang. It is precisely because of that that she has known Shen Bi for a long time. "Mr. Shen, I am Yueming. Mrs. Li, is Mr. Li at home? My husband hasn't come back yet. Does Mr. Shen have anything to do with him? It's like this. Henry Keswick from Iha came to me just now and hoped that Mr. Li would give up Wharf." Do you hope Mr. Li will give up Wharf? What exactly is going on?" By the time Zhuang Yueming reacted, she had already guessed that it must be Henry Keswick of Iha, Nubicon, and even Shen Bi. They thought it was Li Jiaqing who wanted to swallow up Wharf. Only now did Henry Keswick ask Shen Bi to come forward. Zhuang Yueming knew that her husband had sold all the Wharf stocks last week. What was the relationship between Wharf and his husband? Please read it. Chapter 53 Who Wants to Swallow Up Jiulongcang? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhuang Yueming dared to lie to others, but he did not dare to lie to Shen Bi, because she knew that Li Jiaqing had always wanted to gain a good impression from Shen Bian and hoped to get the support of Shen Bian and Huifeng Bank. When Zhuang Yueming made it clear to Shen Bi on the phone, it turned out that Li Jiaqing did have 435 million shares in Wharf, and he had sold them last week. After hearing this, Shen Bi was also stunned. It was rumored that Li Jiaqing wanted to acquire Wharf, but it turned out that it had nothing to do with Li Jiaqing. Shen Bi didn't say anything more. He immediately hung up the phone. Li Jiaqing just came back and saw Zhuang Yueming answering the phone and asked, "Yueming, whose call is it?" "Sir, it's Mr. Shen from Huifeng senior class calling." Zhuang Yueming said that Shen Bi called because of Henry Keswick. After listening to this, Li Jiaqing said helplessly, "There are rumors outside that I want to acquire Wharf, but I don't have that much money to acquire it. So who is this mysterious man?" Li Jiaqing, Zhuang Yueming, and even Shen Bi all know that it is not Li Jiaqing who wants to acquire Wharf. So who is this? Shen Bi could only call Henry Keswick back. Henry Keswick had just returned to the villa not long ago. The housekeeper asked him to answer the phone. "Master, it's Mr. Shen calling." "Mr. Shen, is Mr. Li willing to give up Wharf?" Henry Keswick asked hurriedly. "Sir Keswick, I just called Mr. Li." Mrs. Li said that Mr. Li did still have 430 million shares of Wharf last week, and all of them were sold last week. Now there is no one in Wharf and the Li family. Relation. It has nothing to do with the Li family. If it's not Li Jiaqing, then who is it? Could it be Bao Yugang? At the first time, Henry Keswick thought of many people, including the world's shipping king Bao Yugang. He had just asked Shen Bi to come forward, and now it was impossible for Shen Bi to ask Bao Yugang. Shen Bi is not Henry Keswick's servant. In any case, Henry Keswick would like to thank Shen Bi. The two parties talked for a while and hung up the phone. At this moment, Shen Bi, Henry Keswick, Nabijian and others are all thinking about who wants to acquire Wharf. The reason why Shen Bi didn't expect it was Yang Ming. That's because those 5 people were allowed to register hundreds of accounts to diversify their purchases of Wharf stocks. Many accounts are not opened with Huifeng Securities Company. If Shen Yi wants to find out, he can still find some traces. Yang Ming took a car from the Empire Group in the Federal Building back to the Repulse Bay Mid-Levels Villa, returned to the villa. Yang Ming had dinner with his parents. After dinner, I sat in my wheelchair and enjoyed some fresh air. Azu and Zhong Chuhong pushed Yang Ming upstairs and helped Yang Ming take a bath. When Yang Ming took a bath there, his mind was very clear. At this time, the acquisition of Wharf had reached this stage, and he knew that it would soon be time to close the net. These 2 days are the time to close the network. Yang Ming finished taking a shower and returned to the study. Azu and Zhong Chuhong brought pens and paper. Yang Ming first looked at the Xiangjiang stock market and noticed that tomorrow, the stock price of Xiangjiang Wharf will soar to a maximum of 80 yuan per share. In other words, in the Hong Kong stock market trading tomorrow, Wharf stocks will continue to soar. I'm afraid it will be difficult for either Empire Group or Jardine Matheson Land to continue to buy large amounts of Wharf stocks. At that time, Yang Ming can only borrow the partial purchase method used by Bao Yugang in history, using real money and silver to buy Wharf shares from those investors at high prices, so that the Imperial Group's control of Wharf shares reached 49%, then Jardine Land would basically have nothing to do with it. Yang Ming was reading the newspaper there. Zhong Chuhong was recording from the side. Zhu occasionally brings water to Yang Ming. It's past 11 o'clock in the evening. Azu and Zhong Chuhong went to rest, and Yang Ming also returned to the master room to rest. Early the next day, when Yang Ming got up, he found that the weather in Xiangjiang was now warmer, and the temperature had risen to 20 degrees Celsius. If it was noon, it might reach 22 or even 25 degrees Celsius. This kind of weather is still very comfortable. Yang Ming got up to bask in the sun and finished breakfast with Yang Jirong and his wife, escorted by Chen Zhenhua. He arrived at the Empire Group in the Federal Building in a Rolls-Royce. Yang Ming went to the chairman's office. In addition to Lin Shoji's 15 people, Jason's 5 subordinates also came over. As expected, the highest share price of Wharf today should reach 80 yuan. I don't know how much I can buy. I can only buy as much as I can. Yang Ming knew that according to Bao Yugang's additional purchase method, he bought it with real money and silver of 105 Hong Kong dollars per share. Even if it is 80 yuan per share, it is still worth it. 9:30 am, the Hong Kong stock market and the 4 major exchanges officially opened. They started trading in the Hong Kong stock market and bought Wharf stocks. Wharf stock price soared from 60 yuan per share to 80 yuan per share, quickly fell back to 60 yuan, and then rose back to 65 yuan. This stock price is not static and has been changing during this period. The maximum price is 80 yuan per share. Some 60 yuan stocks were also sold, and some investors continued to be in a state of observation. At the end of the morning, the Wharf stock price trading was still very large. Imperial Group finally bought about 80 shares in the morning. After calculation, the stock held by the Imperial Group has reached more than 1,800 million, or less than 1,850 million shares, which is almost 21.7% of the stock. Basically, not much improvement. I am afraid that if the stock market continues to trade in the afternoon, it will be difficult to buy more. As it stands now, both buyers and sellers are in a stalemate. Small and medium-sized investors and retail investors are unwilling to sell anymore, and Imperial Group and Jardine Matheson Land cannot buy it even if they want to. Noon, Yang Ming had lunch at the company. 13:00 in the afternoon, the Hong Kong stock market continues to open. Many people continue to pay attention to the Wharf stock market. Today, many media in Hong Kong have reported that it is not Li Jiaqing who is interested in acquiring Wharf. Li Jiaqing has entrusted the relevant media to say it, and the relevant media have confirmed it. as for the person interested in acquiring Wharf, it should be Mr. Bao Yugang, the world's shipping king and chairman of Global Shipping Group. Many newspapers and periodicals said it was a trick, and Bao Yugang, who still worked in Prince's building, was outraged. He is interested in acquiring Wharf. But the problem is that he doesn't have many Wharf shares now. What surprised him the most was that he thought it was Li Jiaqing who wanted to acquire Wharf, but it was not Li Jiaqing at all. So who was this mysterious acquirer? Prince's building, office of the chairman of Global Shipping Group. Father, the outside media has now confirmed that Mr. Li is not the one interested in acquiring Wharf. It is now rumored that it is our Bao family who is interested in acquiring Wharf. Wu Guangzhen came in and said, "These media are just messing around. We need to call and warn those newspapers." "Father, who do you think you are?" Bao Yugang shook his head. "I originally thought it was Li Jiaqing, but now I don't know who it is." There were not many Wharf stock trading transactions in the afternoon. Imperial Group actually only bought hundreds of thousands of shares, and it would be difficult to buy more. However, the traders of the Imperial Group did not receive orders from their boss Yang Ming and did not dare to raise the stock price to more than 80 Hong Kong dollars per share. Please read it. Chapter 54. Yang Ming shows his fangs for the first time. Imperial Group takes the lead. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Ming looked at the high-rise buildings outside the window, and then at the wall clock in his office. 15:28 p.m. Hong Kong stock market trading is not over yet. Yang Ming picked up the landline phone and called Kira's office at Huifeng Securities branch. Kayla immediately drove over from the securities company in her red BMW. Federal Building, Imperial Group. This is Kira's first time here. Kayla had just arrived at the elevator entrance on the 29th floor, and Lin Shoji had already come out to greet her. "Miss Kayla, the boss is waiting for you in the chairman's office." Looking at the busy office area, Kira did not expect that there seemed to be many more employees in the Imperial Group. Kira followed Lin Shoji into the office of the chairman of the Imperial Group. When she saw Yang Ming sitting in a wheelchair, Kira brushed her long hair with her hands, straightened her long skirt, greeted Yang Ming, and sat directly opposite Yang Ming. Except for Lin Shoji and Miss Kayla, everyone else should go out first. Yang Ming, Lin Shoji, and Kayla are left in the office. "Miss Kira, are you concerned about Wharf stocks? Pay attention. Recently, Wharf stock has suddenly risen like crazy. In just 1 month, it has increased 7 or 8 times. I heard that someone is sniping at Wharf." At this time, Yang Ming smiled. Lin Shoji also laughed. Looking at the expressions of the two people, Kira asked in surprise, "Mr. Yang, are you sniping at the Wharf?" "Good." No wonder. Kira understood immediately. Yang Ming sniped at Wharf, and the accounts were very scattered. It was normal for Kira not to know. Kayla has never understood that Yang Ming is so good at short-term sniping stocks in the stock market. Is it impossible not to snipe Wharf in advance? "Mr. Yang, did you make a lot of money this time?" After all, the stock price has increased 7 or 8 times, which is indeed a profit. Yang Ming shook his head. "Even if I sell it, the profit will be nothing. My real goal is to swallow up Wharf." At this time, Yang Ming and the Imperial Group seemed to be showing their fangs in front of Kira for the first time. Kira was stunned again. "Starting half a month ago, I have asked people to secretly buy Wharf stocks. Up to now, I have bought nearly 1,900 million shares of Wharf, occupying 21.8% of the shares of Wharf, which is far more than Jardine Matheson Land's share in Wharf of shares. Mr. Yang, what do you want?" "I'm going to do a big deal with your Huifeng Securities Company." "Big business." Kira was still a little unresponsive. Historically, Bao Yugang purchased additional Wharf stocks through Dali Company, a subsidiary of Huifeng Bank. Doli Company, a subsidiary of Huifeng Bank, is also a capital company and can do these things for Bao Yugang. Huifeng Securities, where Kayla now works, is also a subsidiary of Huifeng Group, and can also be responsible for purchasing additional Wharf stocks for Yang Ming. Now that he has Kayla, he doesn't need to find Dali or other capital companies. "Mr. Yang, what do you mean?" "I want to control Wharf, which means buying 49% of the shares." Now I have bought 21.8% of the shares, which means I have to buy 27.2% of the shares, involving 2,312 million shares. Kira was really shocked. Yang Ming, who was sitting in a wheelchair, continued, now the share price of Wharf has soared to 80 yuan per share, and it is difficult to buy it in the market. If I bid 105 yuan per share, how much investment will you have when I bid it? The investor sold his Wharf shares. If so, this involves 24 billion Hong Kong dollars. This is definitely a great deal. Yang Ming believes that at the price of 105 Hong Kong dollars, it can be said to be the highest share price in Wharf history. I am afraid that retail investors and large and small investors who still have Wharf stocks in their hands will rush to sell them. The most important thing is that in addition to the 21.8% of the stocks that Yang Ming already owns and the 14% of the stocks that Jardine Land owns, the rest are all retail investors and small and medium-sized investors. This means that even if Jardine Matheson Land has not sold their shares, there are still 65% of the stocks on the market. Yang Ming will only need about 28% of the stock at that time, which means that he can only sell this part at this high price. For the rest, if no one from Wharf continues to raise prices, they will definitely fall soon. The losses are of course those greedy small and medium investors. Kira is smart, she reacted quickly. Yang Ming and the Imperial Group really want to swallow up Wharf. In fact, this is something that Jardine Land cannot even respond to, because at this moment, Yang Ming Empire Group is already the largest shareholder of Wharf, surpassing Jardine Land, the original major shareholder. The most important thing is that the price offered by Yang Ming is irresistible to investors in the market. The reason why Yang Ming entrusted Kayla to do it, in addition to trusting Kayla, Huifeng Securities Company has such a license to do it. Mr. Yang, I understand what you mean. How is this business? Whether it's good or not, it's a big deal. I'm afraid I can't decide. This involves more than 2 billion Hong Kong dollars. Even if it is just a commission, it is definitely a lot of money. Even for Kira, I'm afraid the commission this month will be quite large. It needs to be confirmed today, otherwise I will have to hand over the business to other companies. Mr. Yang, I understand. I will go see my boss immediately. Kayla didn't stick around anymore. When Kira left the Empire Group, the person she went to meet first, the Grand Central Bank building is located in central Hong Kong, between Queen's Road Central and Devoe Road Central, office of the chairman, Shen Yan's place. When Kayla comes over, when knocking on the door, Shen Bi's secretary learned that it was Miss Kayla. When he went in to report, Shen Bi asked Miss Kayla to come in. Chairman, I want to talk to you alone. Shen Bi motioned to the female secretary to go out. In the office of the chairman of Huifeng Bank, Shen Bi looked at Kayla and asked, Kayla, have you seen Mr. Yang during this time? Chairman, I just came from the Imperial Group and met with Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang discussed a big business deal with me. Big business? At first, Mr. Shen thought that Yang Ming took the initiative to cooperate with Huifeng Bank in stock market investment. No matter how you thought of it, it was not what Shen Bi thought at all. When Kayla said that Imperial Group was already the largest shareholder of Wharf and now wanted to control Wharf through additional purchases, at this moment, Shen Bi was really shocked. It turns out that the person who wanted to swallow up Wharf was not Li Jiaqing, whom he had always been optimistic about, nor was it Bao Yugang. It turned out to be Yang Ming from the Imperial Group. You are saying that Mr. Yang wants to hand over the purchase of additional Wharf shares, involving 24 billion Hong Kong dollars, to us. Exactly. Mr. Yang said, give him an answer tonight, otherwise he will find someone else. Shen Yi was a little confused. He knew that with the huge funds of Yang Ming and the Imperial Group, they would basically win. For example, Henry Keswick of Jardine Matheson Land and Xiangjiang still don't even know who their opponents are. How can they not lose? Moreover, it is difficult for Jardine Land to obtain more than 2 billion real gold and silver in a short period of time. On the contrary, the Imperial Group can take it out. It will. Of course Huifeng Bank will do this business. Of course we want to do this business. Chairman, then I will go to my boss to make arrangements immediately. Go. After Kira left, Shen Bi, who was sitting on the boss's chair, was still a little shocked. 17:00 in the afternoon, Kayla signed this cooperation contract with Imperial Group on behalf of Huifeng Securities Company. Among them, it is clearly stated above, in order to acquire and control Wharf. Empire Group increased its purchase to 49% and will purchase an additional 27.2% of Wharf shares from the market, involving 2,312 million shares. The share price is 105 Hong Kong dollars per share, and the trading period is Thursday and Friday, first come first served basis. Kira signed this contract with Imperial Group. Kayla immediately arrived at the headquarters floor of Huifeng Bank Securities Company. There, many reporters were summoned. In the name of Huifeng Bank, many reporters will definitely come. They heard it was something big news, although they didn't know what it was yet. In addition to reporters from Hong Kong's mainstream media newspapers such as Sing Tao Daily, Oriental Daily, Ming Pao, and Hyun Kong Commercial News, there are also reporters from major overseas media based in Hong Kong. At the press conference, Kayla spoke on behalf of Huifeng Securities Company, announcing the news that Imperial Group would purchase additional shares. When the news was announced, the reporters present were shocked. Prior to this, many reporters were speculating and thought it was Li Jiacheng or Bao Yugang who wanted to acquire Wharf, no matter where you think of it, but the Imperial Group and Yang Ming. Imperial Group. Yang Ming. Who is it? None of them had heard of it. Now it is as if a large group has appeared out of thin air and wants to acquire Wharf, the largest subsidiary of Jardine Matheson Land. Please read it. Chapter 55, The 9-Long Warehouse Purchase War is about to begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Press conference held by Kayla. The news that Empire Group had just announced its purchase of additional shares in Wharf immediately shocked the reporters present. The Imperial Group and Yang Ming have officially become famous in Xiangjiang. However, from beginning to end, they had no idea who this Mr. Yang was and what he looked like. Victoria Peak Villa, Henry Keswick's house. Henry Keswick has returned from get-off work. The housekeeper came over immediately and said, "Master, Mr. Nabigian just called and told us something big happened." "What's the big deal?" In the past few days, Henry Keswick has been unable to sleep well, eat well, and cannot feel at ease because he is worried about Wharf. Huifeng Securities just held a press conference. They will purchase an additional 27.2% of Wharf shares for Empire Group, involving 2,312 million shares. Each share will be purchased at a price of 105 yuan. What kind of company is Imperial Group? How come I haven't heard of this Imperial Group? I just heard about it. This time the Imperial Group spent more than 49 billion to increase the share of Wharf to %, which shows that the Imperial Group has been planning for a long time. Nubikin's side was also confused. It took him so long to realize that the enemy was actually the Imperial Group. It was obvious that they had missed the opportunity. Moreover, now that the Imperial Group can come up with more than 2 billion Hong Kong dollars, can Jardine Land be able to come up with it? Of course not. Come to see me immediately. Also, executives from Jardine and Land will come to see me immediately. Henry Keswick hung up the phone, then walked around the living room. Finally, he picked up the landline phone and called Shen Bi's villa. Shen Bi has returned. "Sir, it's Henry Keswick calling." Shen Bi picked up the landline phone and answered it. "Sir Keswick, I am Shen Bi." "Shen Bi, what's going on with Huifeng Securities Company's purchase of additional Wharf shares for Empire Group?" His tone was a bit scolding, thinking that Shen Bi had known about it for a long time, but hadn't told him yet. Shen Bi said, "Henry, actually I only found out in the afternoon." "Then why is it that Huifeng Securities Company is making additional purchases on behalf of the Imperial Group?" That he simply didn't believe that Shen Bi didn't know. "I don't know about this either." Shen Bi was too lazy to say more. "I want to meet and talk with the boss of the Imperial Group." Meet and talk with Yang Ming? Shen Bi knew that was impossible. I am afraid that Kayla even held a press conference to announce it, which means that soon, investors in Hong Kong and even around the world will know that the Imperial Group has purchased additional shares at a stock price of 105 yuan per share, and it is impossible for those investors not to sell. In this case, what would Yang Ming and Henry Keswick have to talk about? "Sorry, I'm not familiar with the person in charge of the Imperial Group." Shen Bi said again. "You really can't let me meet him?" Henry Keswick, I'm sorry, I really can't help it. There was a beeping sound from the landline phone, and the Shen family had hung up the phone. Henry Keswick threw the microphone in his hand and was quickly pulled back by the phone line. He still looked angry, in the frightened eyes of the butler and maid. Henry Keswick picked up the cups and other things on the table and smashed them around. Henry Keswick has always been a gentle businessman and a polite gentleman. He has basically never lost his temper in the villa. This is the first time, and it seems that he is really angry. Pack it up. He also went back to his study. Newburgh informed Jardine and land executives immediately came to Victoria Peak Villa to meet Henry Keswick. By the time everyone arrived, it was already past 8 o'clock in the evening. There were more than 20 people sitting on both sides of the dining table in the Keswick restaurant, all of whom were executives from Jardine and Land. Do you know that Huifeng Securities Company is purchasing additional shares for the Imperial Group? Sir Keswick, we have heard. What's the solution? Henry Keswick asked. This is a long table. Henry Keswick sat in the middle, and the others sat on both sides. Among them, Jardine Taipan Nabijian is the second person in Jardine Land, Bao Fuda, executive director and general manager of Land. The men looked at each other. They already knew there was little chance of winning. Sir Keswick, it would be best if you could talk to the boss of the Imperial Group and ask him to give up Wharf. Nabijian thought for a while, then stood up first and said, Henry Keswick said, this won't work. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's just that he can't, because he doesn't even know who the boss of the Imperial Group is. Since Imperial Group can increase purchases, we, Wharf, can also hold a press conference to increase purchases. Bao Fuda stood up and said. As soon as he said his thoughts, Henry Keswick's eyes lit up. He quickly added, the Empire Group spent more than 49 billion Hong Kong dollars to purchase additional shares with real money. We now want to purchase 35% of the shares. We need to purchase 3,000% of the shares, nearly 105 million shares. According to the price of 31 Hong Kong dollars per share. Shares, which involves 5,000 billion Hong Kong dollars, how can we, Jardine Land, get so much money? In the final analysis, Jardine Land simply does not have that much liquidity. Moreover, he also felt that it was not worth spending so much money to acquire other shares of Wharf. When many people around heard that more than 3 billion Hong Kong dollars were involved, they immediately fell silent. With such a large amount of money, I'm afraid I won't need what I am doing now. How about this, we use part of Land's shares to replace it, and also issue part of the bonds with a value equivalent to 105 yuan per share to replace Wharf's shares. An executive suggested again. Jardine Land cannot afford that much money. However, Land is a listed company, and Land's shares are still valuable. That is to say, in addition to exchanging some Land shares, bonds are also used in exchange for Wharf shares. On the surface, the value is 105 yuan per share, but it is simply incomparable to the 105 yuan per share of real money from the Imperial Group. Think about it. Everyone thinks the best solution is this. Finally, Henry Keswick said, everyone, let's use this method first. If those investors are not willing to exchange Wharf stocks with us, then we can only give up Wharf as quickly as possible and sell the Wharf stocks in our hands. Exchange big money from Imperial Group. If no one is willing to exchange with Jardine Matheson Land, then they can only sell their Wharf shares as soon as possible to make a profit. After all, Henry Keswick himself was greedy for 105 yuan per share, let alone other investors. After the meeting, Nabijian and Bao Fuda were responsible for the stock swap. A press conference was held at the Landmark building overnight. At the press conference, Bao Fuda announced the news of the replacement of Wharf stocks, in addition to being surprised. Many reporters felt that Jardine Land was bound to lose. After all, many investors prefer cash to Jardine Matheson Land's so-called swap with stocks and bonds. When the news spread that Bao Fuda held a press conference at Landmark building, even though it has not yet appeared in the newspapers, it still shocked investors in Xiangjiang. This is bound to be a sleepless night. Please read it. Chapter 56. Thunder captured 1 dragon warehouses with 1 strike. Shocked all walks of life in Hong Kong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The designated stock registry of Huifeng Securities Company. That night, the lights were brightly lit. Many investors who hold Wharf stocks, some may only have a few hundred shares, but many investors have not even eaten dinner and come from home overnight to queue up. It can be learned from the press conference of Huifeng Securities that Imperial Group purchased 2,312 million shares, but not all investors were able to sell them at the highest stock price of HK$105, the press conference has reminded us that the principle is first come first served. In addition to these ordinary retail investors, some bank agents and brokerage companies have already made arrangements by phone in advance. Obviously, the big players were the first to sell. Now the place designated by Huifeng Securities Company is brightly lit and there is already a long queue. Although registration information will not start until 8:30 tomorrow morning when the official work begins, many people are still worried. 17:30 in the afternoon, Yang Ming has already taken a Rolls-Royce back to the Repulse Bay Mid-Levels villa. Yang Ming got off the car, and Li Yufang, Azu and Zhong Chuhong had already come to greet him. "Mommy. Let's go have dinner first." Yang Ming and Yang Jirong had dinner together. Yang Ming and the Imperial Group have spread all over Xiangjiang. I am afraid that all the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers will be news about Yang Ming and the Imperial Group. Yang Jirong and his wife have heard some news, but they are not sure. Yang Ming accompanied his parents after dinner. Yang Jirong asked curiously, "Peter, I heard rumors from outside that your company is going to acquire Wharf." "Yes, Daddy. Yang Ming actually wants to acquire Wharf." This time it was Yang Jirong and Li Yufang's turn to be shocked. Wharf is not one of the four major foreign banks in Hong Kong, but it is one of the most important subsidiaries of the Jardine Matheson Company, the leader of the four major foreign banks in Hong Kong. Yang Jirong and his wife never thought that Chinese capital could swallow up British firms. "Daddy, Mommy, I prepared this business acquisition plan more than half a month ago. Tomorrow is the time to harvest." "Peter, you are so awesome." Yang Jirong said. Li Yufang is even more proud of her son. When Yang Ming returned upstairs, rest for half an hour, while Yang Ming was taking a bath under the service of Azu and Zhong Chuhong, he knew that even if he wanted to keep a low profile tomorrow, he might not be able to do so. For example, he must have taken the position of head clerk at Wharf. As for Jardine and Xiangjiang, they will have no choice but to get out. Yang Ming came out of the shower, returned to the study. Azu and Zhong Chuhong brought the newspapers. Around the same time, Yang Ming was reading the newspaper and Zhong Chuhong was taking notes. Until about 11 o'clock in the evening, Yang Ming finished his work. He can go and rest. "It's very late, you should go and rest." "Yes, master." Early the next day, Yang Ming had just gotten up, but Zhu and Zhong Chuhong waiting outside the door had already gotten up. "Master, I heard that you are famous." Azu said. This morning, after the newspapers and periodicals ordered by Lin Dezhong for the villa were delivered early, many newspaper headlines were all about the Empire Group's acquisition of Wharf. As the boss of the Imperial Group, Yang Ming was of course the front page headline. However, until now, because they still don't know what Yang Ming looks like, the media is now paying close attention to this mysterious boss, thinking that Yang Ming is at least a mysterious rich Chinese man in his 40s or 50s. This was expected by Yang Ming. Yang Ming got up, washed his face, and put on a new set of white pants and a fashionable shirt. When Zhu pushed him out, many servants in the villa looked at Yang Ming with different eyes, especially Lin Dezhong. He never expected that young Master Yang was far more powerful than he imagined. When Yang Ming was having breakfast with Yang Jirong and his wife, Yang Jirong and his wife had seen many newspapers and periodicals today, all of which reported news about his son and the Empire Group's acquisition of Wharf. From the report, they learned that this time Yang Mingshan purchased additional stocks from the market, which was as high as 24 billion Hong Kong dollars. If you include the Wharf stocks you bought before, I am afraid that this investment in Wharf has already cost 3 to 4 billion Hong Kong dollars. What exactly is this concept? Neither Yang Jirong nor his wife knew what to say. "Daddy, Mommy, starting from today, I am the head coach of Wharf." Yang Ming finished breakfast. "I originally wanted to take my parents to the Imperial Group company to show off, but after thinking about it, I decided not to let reporters disturb them." Yang Ming got into the Rolls-Royce, and Chen Zhenhua and other bodyguards were dispatched. At this time, at the Huifeng Securities Company registration office, many people had been queuing all night. Even then, many people were still very excited and rushed in as soon as the registration office of Huifeng Securities Company opened. there were not many people queuing up at Jardine Matheson Land's designated replacement stock registry. How can the stocks and bonds exchanged by Jardine Matheson compare to real money? Especially Wharf, which costs 105 yuan per share. I am afraid there will be no such opportunity to sell it in the past 10 years. Federal Building. At this time, many reporters from Hong Kong's mainstream media newspapers and even overseas reporters have come outside. They are concentrated here with the purpose of interviewing and photographing Mr. Yang, the chairman of the Imperial Group. Now Imperial Group and Chairman Yang Ming are too mysterious. His sudden appearance was even more popular than the sudden rise of the Jiulongcang Group some time ago. When Shen Bi drove near the Imperial Group, he reminded, "Boss, there are many reporters outside now. Ignore it." Shen Bi and his party drove to the underground parking lot of the Federal Building. While Yang Ming was still in the car, reporters not far away came to take pictures. The security personnel of the Federal Building, as if expecting this, hurriedly blocked the reporters, and a security chief took the initiative to come over and say hello to Yang Ming. Yang Ming got on the wheelchair, and Shen Bi pushed Yang Ming to the elevator. Those reporters finally took photos of Yang Ming's real appearance, a rich man who looks younger than they thought. To their surprise, the young rich man was actually sitting in a wheelchair. Because Yang Ming was wearing sunglasses, they couldn't take the picture very clearly. When the elevator dinged, Yang Ming and others took the elevator up to the 29th floor, just came out. Many reporters also came here at this time. "It's Mr. Yang, chairman of the Imperial Group, here." The reporters gathered around like crazy. Shen Bi and the security personnel of the Federal Building hurriedly blocked the crazy reporters. These reporters were holding long guns and short cannons and desperately took pictures of Yang Ming like free film. Yang Ming entered the office of the chairman of the Imperial Group. There are more than 200 employees in the Empire Group. Except for some of them who have already been prepared to acquire Wharf by the boss in advance, other employees only learned about it last night, which was also very shocking. Please read it. Chapter 57. Yang Ming officially serves as the head class member of 9 Longcang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 8:30 am, the registration office of Huifeng Securities Company had just opened, and those retail investors who had been waiting in line all night immediately rushed in. However, how can ordinary retail investors compare with large investors? Many bank agents and brokers, they called in advance to communicate after registration last night. The moment registration begins, Jardine Matheson Land held more than 1,200 million shares of Wharf, and it first sold 1,200 million shares. The rest, as well as other big players, are almost all sold out. As for when those retail investors register, there will actually only be 500 million shares left. Seems like a lot. If an ordinary retail investor sells 500 shares, it is actually only investors. What's more, some retail investors may only have 1,000 shares, and some may have thousands of shares. The 500 million shares are simply not enough. 10:00 am, Huifeng Securities announced that the purchase of 2,312 million additional shares by Imperial Group has ended. In other words, in less than 2 hours, the Imperial Group has bought these 2,312 million shares. Together with the stocks originally purchased by the Imperial Group now controls more than 49% of the shares. There were many retail investors outside who had been waiting in line all night. Unexpectedly, the Imperial Group had finished buying them so quickly. What does this mean? They immediately wanted to cause trouble. Everyone else was eating meat and drinking soup, and they couldn't even drink the dregs of the soup. How could they not make trouble? It's useless for them to cause trouble here. The security personnel of Huifeng Securities Company and the nearby Sir immediately drove away the troublemakers. Why? We queued up all night last night, and the Imperial Group bought more than 20 million shares so quickly. This is definitely impossible. I suspect there is a shady transaction. I'm going to sue you. Some people are talking about filing a shady complaint to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Some people quickly remembered that Jardine Matheson Land was not a company that could exchange stocks and bonds for Wharf stocks. Many investors knew the news and immediately went to the place designated by Jardine Land. They already knew it when they got there. When Jardine Land just held a press conference last night, it was over. In other words, it is simply impossible for Jardine Matheson Land to exchange shares with them again. Those investors reacted immediately. This is clearly a scam by Jardine Land. Jardine Land owns more than 10 million Wharf shares, and it is likely that all of them have been sold to the Imperial Group, Federal Building, Imperial Group, office of the chairman. Yang Ming is sitting in a wheelchair. Just now, he has handed over the stock information for today's stock market transactions to those in charge. Yang Ming looked outside. He knew that Huifeng Securities not far away should have purchased 2,312 million shares of Wharf at a high price in accordance with his request. Imperial Group spent 24 billion Hong Kong dollars to finally increase Imperial Group's shares in Wharf to 49%. Basically, this means that Yang Ming has controlled Wharf. Lin Xiuji, call Tang Shilian. Yes, boss. Tang Shilian was called to the chairman's office. Boss. Tang Shilian greeted. Tang Shilian, take 2 subordinates from the finance department and go to the Wharf building with me. Yes, boss. Tang Shilian looked very excited when she heard this. Although she still didn't know what to do with the past, she knew it would not be easy. In addition to Lin Xiuji and her 2 subordinates, bodyguards such as Chen Zhenhua also left. Go down to the basement parking lot, get in the Rolls-Royce. The group of people took a car to the Wharf building in Central District. Now the construction of the new Wharf building has begun in Tsim Sha Tsui. However, it has not yet been repaired. The old building is still a place for offices. When Chen Zhenhua and his party drove to the outside of this Wharf building, there were many security personnel outside. They have already guessed that Mr. Yang, the chairman of the Empire Group and the new taipan of the Wharf Group, will definitely come today. When the folded wheelchair was taken off the Rolls-Royce, Chen Zhenhua helped Yang Ming get out of the car, followed by Lin Xiuji, Tang Shilian and others. In addition, there are other bodyguards of Chen Zhenhua. Many people were still shocked when they saw Yang Ming. In addition to feeling that the other person is young, they didn't expect that a rich man like Yang Ming was actually in a wheelchair. When Yang Ming's wheelchair was pushed in, along the way, many Wharf employees watched, but they did not dare to approach rashly. Go all the way to the 13th floor, Yang Ming came out of the elevator. Many Wharf managers came out to greet him. Last night, after these Wharf management heard the news, they knew that Jardine Land had lost and would definitely withdraw from Wharf. They came over one after another to say hello to the new boss Yang Ming. Yang Ming simply responded. When I got to the conference room, Yang Ming saw a wealthy middle-aged man in his 40s. This is Taipan New Baikan of Jardine, Land, and Wharf. Next to Nubikin is the former executive director and general manager of real estate, Bao Fuda. Last night, Bao Fuda also knew that Jardine Land must have lost. On the other hand, Jardine Land seems to have won again, earning more than 900 million Hong Kong dollars from Yang Ming, which is definitely a lot of money. Mr. Yang. Nubijian greeted first. Mr. Nubikin. At this time, many newspaper reporters who had been waiting here took pictures of the scene in front of them. Mr. Nubijian, I don't need to tell you, you should also know that now Imperial Group and I are not only the largest shareholders of Wharf, but also control Wharf. Not bad, said Nubijian. Last night, he knew he had lost. Although I'm not the kind of person who is convinced when I lose, I still didn't sleep well all night. He arrived here early today, first held a meeting to talk to Wharf's management, and even prepared to poach some of the management. However, most of the management of Wharf did not express their position, which means that they still have to consider the attitude of the new owner Yang Ming. If Yang Ming wants to drive them all away, of course they will jump to Iha or Land. If Yang Ming doesn't move them, they will definitely stay in Wharf. Congratulations Mr. Yang. Nubijian said. No need for Nubijian to give up his position. Yang Ming is already the boss of Wharf Group and a director of Wharf's board of directors. Jardine Matheson Land still has hundreds of thousands of Wharf shares, which is actually meaningless. When Iha Taipan Nubijian and Bao Fuda left in despair, Yang Ming was sitting in the chief position. Next to them were Tang Shilian, the financial director of the Imperial Group, and his secretary assistant Lin Xiuji. Everyone, please take a seat. These Wharf executives each sat down in their own seats. Starting today, I officially serve as Wharf Taipan, director of the board of directors. Originally, there was only one person on the board of directors, Nubijian. From now on, Nubijian has been dismissed from the board of directors. In addition to me, Tang Shi, the financial director of Empire Group, has been added. Miss Lien, and Miss Lin Xiuji, assistant secretary to the chairman of the Imperial Group. In other words, the three current directors on the Wharf Group's board of directors are actually Yang Ming's people. Others, of course, had no objections, and they could not object. In addition, except for asking Miss Tang Shirlian to send 2 financial personnel to check Wharf's finances, the management of each department will not make any changes. Please read it. Chapter 58 Outwit Hutchison Whampoa. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's not that Yang Ming doesn't want to change the management structure of Wharf. He currently has no senior talent suitable for this aspect, even the position of Wharf General Manager can only be vacant now. As for him, he is mainly responsible for the affairs of the Imperial Group. Yang Ming knew that he swallowed the Wharf. In addition to changing Jardine land seems to have lost an important arm. It has also taken over Wharf earlier than the Bao family in history. In this way, the Bao family will suffer the greatest loss. In addition to the surge in strength of Yang Ming and the Imperial Group, it means that it is difficult for the Bao family to do anything in the future. Many Wharf executives in the conference room were delighted when they heard their positions would not change. If Yang Ming hadn't been here, they would have laughed. For Wharf executives, they are most worried about how their senior management positions will be affected after the major shareholder is changed. Since Mr. Yang has not made any changes, there is nothing to lose for them. It is normal for Yang Ming to send Tang Shirlian and her subordinates to Wharf to check the accounts. Wharf is still a listed company, and Yang Ming and Imperial Group already hold half of the shares. It is unreasonable to say that Wharf does not belong to the Yang family. Yang Ming simply finished the meeting. Under the leadership of Wharf executives, they began to visit various departments of Wharf headquarters and expressed condolences to the staff representatives of each department. To appease the people of Wharf, stabilize the Wharf from chaos. The Wharf Group is more than just a group. It is also a large foreign company with many subsidiaries, involving subsidiaries of real estate companies, terminal companies, warehouse companies, hotels, tram companies, Star Ferry, etc. In particular, its ports and terminals are spread all over Hong Kong. In addition, the prime areas in Tsim Sha Tsui now basically belong to Harbour City. Harbour City is also the most important real estate and property group under Wharf, with annual rental income of tens of billions of Hong Kong dollars in the future. Yang Ming knew that although the acquisition of Wharf cost more than 3 billion Hong Kong dollars, in his opinion it was very worthwhile. In the future, returns from real estate such as Kowloon warehouse receipts will not be low. Yang Ming did not stay in Wharf Tower for too long. When lunch comes around noon, after Yang Ming had dinner with many senior executives in the restaurant of Wharf Building, he then left Wharf Building and returned to Empire Group. When Yang Ming came out of Wharf Building in a wheelchair, the Wharf executive behind him walked all the way to the door. At this time, many reporters who were ambushing outside started taking pictures and interviewing Yang Ming with long guns and short cannons. Yang Ming ignored it. Get in the car, leave here in the Rolls-Royce, and go back to the Empire Group. Just got back to the Empire State Building. Many more reporters gathered around. They just wanted to take a picture of Yang Ming's true appearance and conduct an interview with him. In the 1970s, Chinese capital in Xiangjiang was already on the rise. As the first chairman of the Imperial Group to acquire an important British-owned foreign bank in Xiangjiang, Yang Ming still has a great influence on Xiangjiang. Yang Ming was not interested in interviews from those reporters. From beginning to end, he did not say a word in front of those reporters, when Yang Ming came to the Imperial Group in a wheelchair. At this time, it was already past 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Today, the 4 major exchanges in Hong Kong all moved because of the Wharf stock price. In addition, Huifeng Securities and Empire Group jointly issued a press conference last night to increase purchases, so Wharf stock trading was suspended today. However, it is precisely because of that many Wharf retail investors understand that if Wharf stocks open again tomorrow, Wharf stock prices will definitely plummet, and may even return to 10 yuan per share. After Yang Ming and Empire Group acquired Wharf, Wharf has been controlled by Yang Ming, which means that it is basically impossible for this stock to reach such a high stock price again. So many retail investors were still making trouble at Huifeng Securities Company, and some even called the Xiangjiang Stock Exchange to complain about the behavior of Huifeng Securities Company and Imperial Group. When Yang Ming returned to the Imperial Group, when Yang Ming heard about this incident, he had already guessed that it would be like this. For a long time, it has been basically the big investors who eat the meat, the small investors who drink the soup, and the vast majority of ordinary investors can only drink the northwest wind. In the past few days, Wharf's stock price has soared to 80 yuan per share. Those greedy retail investors are still unwilling to sell, which means that this day is over. If the Wharf stock market resumes trading tomorrow, I am afraid it will be difficult for these Wharf retail investors to sell a share for 20 yuan, without any hype value. The stock price will surely fall back soon. Yang Ming wouldn't care about those things. He has been in the office of the chairman of the Imperial Group. When Xiangjiang's media newspapers published the evening papers, they had already begun to officially publish photos of Yang Ming, chairman of the Empire Group. When many reporters first saw Mr. Yang, they thought he was young. What makes them feel pity is that he is actually in a wheelchair. What does this mean? In the eyes of these people, Yang Ming must be disabled, otherwise how could he always appear in public in a wheelchair? As a result, many street gossips published many unpleasant reports on the fact that Yang Ming was in a wheelchair. They were nothing more than the envy and jealousy of ordinary people towards rich people. Yang Ming didn't know that, however. He already knew that even if he wanted to keep a low profile, he would not be able to keep a low profile today when he officially swallowed up the Wharf. Besides, the paparazzi in Xiangjiang are still very powerful. He is not one of those stars. But at this time his influence is no less than that of any other star. 16:00 in the afternoon, trading on the Hong Kong stock market ended. Yang Ming asked Lin Xiuji to call Jason's 5 subordinates. Boss. After these 5 people came in. You did a great job in this sniper war to acquire Wharf. Starting next month, your salary will be doubled. These people didn't expect that their salary could be doubled so easily, so they were naturally very excited. Thank you, boss. How much Hutchison International stock are we acquiring now? Yang Ming has been paying attention to the stock price of Hutchison International. When Wharf's stock price started to skyrocket, Hutchison International's stock price had been floating around 12 or 3 yuan. In other words, there were not many investors speculating on Wharf stock, and the stock price did not rise or fall much. At the beginning, Hutchison International's stock price had been fluctuating around 9 Hong Kong dollars per share, but now it is only 12 or 3 Hong Kong dollars, which is not a lot. Hutchison International has more than 200 million of its issued shares. In 1975, Huifeng Bank had acquired 9,000 million shares of Hutchison International, which meant that it owned 33.65% of Hutchison International's shares and was the largest shareholder of Hutchison International. Last year, under the chairmanship of Wei Li, Hutchison International merged with its important subsidiary Whampoa Dockyard to form Hutchison Whampoa. Even then, the 9,000 million shares of Huifeng Bank still accounted for 22.4% of the shares issued by Hutchison Whampoa. Is still Hutchison Whampoa's largest shareholder. From the beginning, Yang Ming was eyeing Wharf and Hutchison Whampoa. Now that Wharf has been eaten up, Hutchison Whampoa is next. Please read it. Chapter 59 Hutchison Whampoa, the second largest foreign company in Hong Kong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If swallowing Wharf is an appetizer, then swallowing Hutchison Whampoa is Yang Ming's highlight. Hutchison International is the second largest foreign bank in Hong Kong. In addition to the parent company Hutchison International, it also has large-scale foreign companies such as Huangpu Shipyard. In addition, there are Watsons, Jiulongcang, Dihuibo Yangxing, Taihe Yangxing, Chichang Yangxing. At its peak, it owned as many as 360 large companies by name. The industries we operate include real estate, finance, insurance, hotels, docks, shipping, warehouses, cotton and wool textiles, automobiles, foreign wine, soft drinks, medicines, import and export trade, etc. It is one of the largest commercial institutions in Hong Kong, second only to Jardine Matheson. Jardine after losing Wharf. Now Hutchison Whampoa's strength should be similar to that of Jardine, or even exceed that of Jardine. Prior to this, the owner of Hutchison International was Chi Dezun. In 1975, Chi Dezun was on the verge of bankruptcy due to excessive expansion, resulting in capital turnover problems. As a last resort, it accepted a capital injection from Huifeng Bank. In the end, Huifeng Bank invested 33.65 million Hong Kong dollars and obtained million shares of Hutchison International, accounting 4% of Hutchison International's issued shares. Since then, the owner of Hutchison International has changed to Huifeng Bank, because of its own connections. Huifeng Bank said at the time that if Huifeng Bank made a profit, it would sell Hutchison International at the appropriate time. Historically, there have been many people who wanted to eat up Hutchison International, even including the loss of Hutchison International's Chidazun. Shen Bi and Huifeng Bank will not give them a chance. At the beginning, Huifeng Bank had decided to support the development of Chinese capital, and Huifeng Bank would only hand over Hutchison International to Chinese capital. Who exactly it is, many people didn't know before this. In history, Yang Ming naturally knew that it was Li Jiaqing who swallowed up Hutchison Whampoa at an advantage in the end. This allowed Li Jiaqing to ascend to the sky in one step, completely reborn, and reach the sky. Since then, Li Jiaqing's position as the richest man in Hong Kong has been established. Later, after the 1980s, Li Jiaqing continued to invest in the mainland precisely because he received dividends from Hutchison Whampoa's funds as working capital, which made Li Jiaqing's wealth more and more, so much so that Xiangjiang became Li Jiaqing. Li Jiaqing's strength at this time was just like that. In addition to its own Changchun Industrial, it acquired some companies last year. At this time, compared with Bao Yugang, Li Jiaqing was far inferior to the strength of the Bao family. When Yang Ming swallowed up Wharf, he had already planned to swallow up Hutchison Whampoa. Why swallow up Wharf first and not Hutchison Whampoa? It is because of the special nature of Hutchison Whampoa. Hutchison International stocks are also very diversified, but they are very different from Wharf. The largest shareholder of Wharf turned out to be Jardine Matheson Land, with a shareholding of only 10%. Hutchison International's largest shareholder is Huifeng Bank. Huifeng Bank already owns more than one-third of the shares. The remaining consortiums and investors also hold one-third of the shares, and the rest may be retail investors. It is destined that other investors would not be able to take advantage of Hutchison Whampoa if they did not receive the support of Huifeng Bank. In addition, Huifeng Bank is the largest bank in Hong Kong. It plays a similar role to the central bank and has plenty of money. If you want to compare money with Huifeng Bank, I'm afraid there is no other consortium in Xiangjiang that can compare with Huifeng Bank. As a result, many British and Chinese capital have been coveting Hutchison International. They know that without the support of Huifeng Bank and Shen Bi, it is impossible to take over Hutchison International. Now for Yang Ming, he is different. He is already making preparations. 1. That's the easiest way, as historically, Shen Bi was willing to sell Hutchison Whampoa's shares to Li Jiaqing at a bargain price, so if Yang Ming eats Hutchison International, it won't cost much. Historically, Li Jiaqing swallowed up Hutchison Whampoa at far less than half of the market price. If that were the case, Yang Ming knew that it would be easy for him to swallow up Hutchison Whampoa. What Yang Ming was thinking about was that if Shen Bi was too stubborn and refused to sell the shares he held in Hutchison International to him, then he could only use the second method, in addition to secretly holding shares in Hutchison International. As long as he already holds Hutchison International shares, even in many cases, if Shen Bi wants to sell Hutchison International to others, he has to think clearly. Yang Ming also has huge funds to fight with Huifeng Bank. Boss, we now hold Hutchison International stock, about 10% of the shares. 0.1% of the stock, that is 2,700 million ordinary Hutchison International shares. This is certainly far behind the 9,000 million shares held by Huifeng Bank. Boss, we found that starting this week, there seem to be other people quietly accumulating Hutchison International shares. Others quietly absorb it. So who is this? Of course they don't know. When Yang Ming heard it, he immediately guessed it. This person is either Li Jiaqing or Bao Yugang. Historically, these two people are the most promising to get Hutchison Whampoa. In the end it was Li Jiaqing. That's because of historical reasons. Li Jiaqing had given up Wharf in advance. In the end, Bao Yugang got Wharf, and Li Jiaqing got Hutchison Whampoa. In Yang Ming's view, Bao Yugang was at a loss. Bao Yugang also knew that Shen Bi was more optimistic about Li Jiaqing than himself. The current Wharf falls into the hands of Yang Ming. That means that the only ones who want to swallow up Hutchison International now are Li Jiaqing and Bao Yugang. Of course, the strength of these two people is that of the shipping king Bao Yugang. Let's talk about relationships. On the surface, Bao Yugang has a closer relationship with Huifeng Bank because the two parties have cooperated for a long time. Historically, Li Jiaqing won Hutchison Whampoa, which is enough to show that Shen Bi and Li Jiaqing have a closer relationship. Yang Ming didn't bother to pay attention to these two people. Whoever they were secretly absorbing Hutchison International's shares had little impact on him. now that he has 10% of Hutchison International's shares, he can officially have a showdown with Shen Bi. I understand, you go back to work first. Yang Ming asked them to go out first. He leaned in his wheelchair and looked outside. At this time, many people were paying attention to Yang Ming and the Imperial Group, as well as the wharf that Yang Ming had just eaten. Yang Ming has already thought of Hutchison International. As long as he swallows Hutchison International, as far as Xiangjiang is concerned, whether it is Lijiacheng or Baoyugang, it is probably impossible for them to imagine what happened in history, when Yang Ming was considering whether to call Kayla. The landline phone rings. Lin Shoji picked up the landline and answered the call. Boss, it's Miss Kayla calling. Miss Kira, it's me. Mr. Yang, congratulations. I want to meet you tonight. Just in time, I also want to meet you. Come to my house and I'll treat you to a drink of red wine. Please read it. Chapter 60 Secret Conversation with Kayla on the second floor of the basement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 1700 hours in the afternoon, Yang Ming not only announced that after adding food to the company canteen today, he and Chen Zhenhua and others left the federal building in a car, returned to Repulse Bay Mid-Level's villa. When Yang Ming got off the car, just got into a wheelchair, Lin Dezhong, Yang Jirong, Li Yufang, Zhu, Zhong Chuhong and others all came out to greet them. Peter. Li Yufang was really excited when she saw Yang Ming. She didn't expect that Yang Ming would actually acquire the Wharf Group, one of the largest foreign banks in Hong Kong. When Li Yufang excitedly hugged Yang Ming in the wheelchair and shed tears, Yang Ming didn't know how to comfort his mother. Mommy. Peter, I'm sorry, Mom is so excited. I'm so proud of you. Mommy, without you, there would be no me. You should be proud of yourself. Daddy is proud of you. Thank you, Daddy. Yang Ming and his father Yang Jirong hugged each other. The family went to the restaurant. Now that Yang Ming has not come back, Lin Dezhong has asked the kitchen to prepare a rich dinner waiting for his return. Mommy, Miss Kayla will be here soon, let's wait for her first. It's okay. Wait until Kayla comes over in her MG sedan. When she first saw Yang Ming, Kira was also happy for Yang Ming. When she saw Yang Ming's profits in the stock market, she knew that Yang Ming was definitely not simple. Really, in 1 month, Yang Ming acquired the old foreign bank Wharf. Yang Ming, Yang Jirong, his wife, and Kayla finished dinner together in the restaurant. After dinner, Yang Ming and Kayla took the elevator down to the second floor of the basement. This is the wine cellar. In addition, there is a stage and a place to drink. It was already dark outside, but after turning on the lights, it was still very bright. Yang Ming, when Kayla was sitting there drinking red wine, Kayla said, Mr. Yang, congratulations again. Thank you. Cheers. The two parties clinked glasses and each drank half a glass. Mr. Yang, you know how funny those media and newspapers are. They took photos of you in a wheelchair and mocked you as a disabled rich man. I think you can sue these reporters and newspapers for defamation. Even if Yang Ming is really disabled, so what? Kayla already knows that Yang Ming is still unable to walk like normal because of muscle atrophy and lack of exercise for a long time. She believes that Yang Ming will soon be able to walk like a normal person. Miss Kayla, those people are jealous of the young master. Azu said from the side. Mr. Yang, how is your recovery? Kayla asked, still concerned. It's okay. I've been lying in bed with this body for more than 3 years. If my parents hadn't been rich and had the hospital nurses giving me full body massages, I might still be lying there now. Why don't you stand up and try it? Kayla stood up and tried to support Yang Ming. Of course Yang Ming can stand up. If he stood for a long time, his feet still felt a little weak. As long as I have a wheelchair to rely on, I think it's okay. When Kayla supported Yang Ming, she found that Yang Ming had recovered very well in the past half-month. When the two of them were at the beach of Victoria Harbor, she could feel that Yang Ming was still very thin at that time. At that time, his skin was probably due to the lack of sun exposure for a long time. Not only were his body bones soft, his skin was dead white, and his muscles were atrophied. Now I am eating normally after more than half a month and am recovering well. When Yang Ming grabbed Kayla's shoulders and waist with both hands, Kayla was a little uncomfortable at first, but soon felt that it was nothing. Here, Kayla supported Yang Ming and walked slowly. The two of them seemed to be dancing there. Azu and Zhong Chuhong were watching on the side. Azu, Zhong Chuhong, I want to talk to Miss Kayla alone. Yes, master. Azu and Zhong Chuhong looked at Yang Ming and Kayla, and they left the second floor of the basement first. After watching the two women leave, Kira was a little worried and embarrassed, thinking that Yang Ming wanted to do something to her. Yang Ming asked, Miss Kayla, why did you come to see me tonight because of yourself? Yes, Mr. Shen, the chairman, asked me to come and congratulate you. Shen Yan. I didn't go looking for him. Unexpectedly, he came to him first. Now that I have swallowed Wharf, how will Shen Bi react? He looked shocked last night, but today he looks normal. Before yesterday, Shen Bi always thought that it was Li Jiaqing or Bao Yugang who wanted to swallow up Wharf. Later, when he learned that he had nothing to do with Li Jiaqing and Bao Yugang, he didn't expect it to be Yang Ming. It wasn't until yesterday afternoon when Kayla approached Shen Bi and told her that Yang Ming was going to increase the shareholding in Wharf to 49% that Shen Bi reacted. At that time, Shen Bi was really shocked. Today, when Kira saw Shen Bi again, Shen Bi seemed normal. Now Shen Bi wants to seek help from Yang Ming, and Yang Ming himself has the strength to swallow up Wharf, so what can he do? At this time, Yang Ming has already hugged Kayla. Miss Kayla, then you came to see me because of yourself. Yeah, now I think the Imperial Group has more prospects. Maybe you will be my boss by then. Yang Ming swallowed Wharf in less than a month, and everyone could see the future of Yang Ming and the Imperial Group. Before I leave Huifeng Bank, my task is to contact Mr. Shen and bring you closer. Then why do you think Mr. Shen did that? Mr. Yang, that's because Mr. Shen and Huifeng Bank are interested in your ability to make money in the global stock market. Think about it, although Huifeng Bank is a major international bank, its net profit in a year is less than 1 billion Hong Kong dollars. You can earn more in one day than Huifeng Bank earns in a year. Is it because of this? Yang Ming asked. Yes, that's why. I guess the chairman wants to cooperate with you and let you make money for Huifeng Bank. Yang Ming heard this, can't help but laugh. He has no connection with Huifeng Bank, so why should he make money for Huifeng Bank? It can be said that Shen Bian is the chief executive of Huifeng Bank. If he wants to make money for Huifeng Bank, it is naturally his responsibility. What does this have to do with Yang Ming? Miss Kayla, whether Huifeng Bank makes money has nothing to do with me. Yes, but there is one thing related to you. You said. Huifeng Bank holds 9,000 million shares of Hutchison International. If you get Huifeng Bank's Hutchison International shares, you can also swallow up Hutchison International. Kira looked at Yang Ming sincerely and said, when Yang Ming heard what she said, Yang Ming was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Kira would think of this. It seems that Kira is really not an ordinary person, she is still very capable. In Hong Kong, many people have actually been eyeing Huifeng Bank's Hutchison International shares for a long time. It's nothing that Kira can think of. Please read it.